Welcome to the Mind Body Podcast. I'm your host, Maria Angelova, and I'm here to challenge everything you have been told about aging and wellness. This podcast is for those who refuse to accept that growing old means growing unhealthy. Each week, I will bring you dynamic conversations with inspirational guests, sharing practical advice, insights, and motivation to live your life rebelliously as you age with grace and vitality. This is your time to embrace self-care, transformation, and an infectious spirit that says no to the conventional and yes to a vibrant, powerful life. Let's dive in and redefine what it means to live well. Hi, Rebels, and welcome to the Mind Body Podcast, your rebellious podcast with me, your host, Maria, where it is all about a strong body, calm mind, healing, and fully living. And your special trip today is Deb Gabor, who is the brand guru. Welcome, Deb. How are you doing?
I am so great. Thank you so much.
It is so cool to have you here, Deb. I know this will be a fabulous, high vibrational conversation. You are a fireball and definitely a rebel, I have to say. And I want for you to inspire us to go after authentic branding. But before I get to branding, let's get to know who Deb is. So give us 3 words and a little bit of a backstory behind who Deb is.
3 words.
3 words.
Let's see. Fast-paced, energetic, strategic. How's that? Good?
That's really good. Right to the point. Fast-paced. Energetic, yes. That's why I loved when I heard your presentation when we met. I was like, oh, who is this lady? High energy, fast paced.
Yeah, right on. No, and in my life, I tend to surround myself with other people who can keep up. And, we met, I think I presented and then we talked a little bit during the presentation. And then afterwards, like you sought me out and it was sort of like moth to a flame, right? There was like this, I don't know if this is a thing, but there's like an energetic connection when you meet people who are your people, you know it, right? Where you're like, I just have to know this person. So you definitely were one of those people for me.
I love it. Vice versa. I do say like attracts vibes. So I definitely think good vibes attract good vibes. So, and I do think it's very cool to meet fast-paced people because I don't know if you've ever been told to slow down, or I've actually been told I'm too passionate and I need to tone it down. And I'm like,
okay, I've never been told that I was too passionate, but I have been told many, many times to slow down.
Yeah.
That's and I think that thinking fast, being fast, talking fast, acting fast, all of that is probably a sign of like, being somewhere in the ADD
Spectrum.
world. Also, something about being extroverted, having extroverted qualities. And sometimes my mouth can't even keep up with the way that my mind is thinking. But literally every job I ever had, I was told to slow down. And usually it was by my superiors. They're like, oh, you need to slow down because the other people can't keep up. And it was,
oh my gosh, I've been told the exact same thing. Yes.
And my observation was, it's not that the other people can't keep up, you can't keep up. And you feel threatened by somebody who thinks fast, does fast, is fast, right?
Fast.
I mean, we just get a lot of shit done. And Maria, that's why I have my own company. I have had my own company for now 21 years. It's because I make a really shitty employee. I have problems with authority unless, of course, it's me. And so, 3 data points makes a trend. I got this feedback from previous bosses when I had like actual jobs. And they said, you got to slow down. And I thought, you know what? I can use what makes me weird. I can use it in a way that is an advantage. And I found a way, like this fast thinking, strategic thinking, like being super energetic, being able to pull people along with us. I found a way to use that as an asset to build like a really incredible business and following of clients and fans around the world. So what makes you weird makes you wonderful.
I will tell you that something I'll tell clients, they'll do an exercise and they're like, yeah, like go. And I can be loud and almost like obnoxious. And people love it, when they get that support. So before I was trying so much to fit into that environment that, the signs were there, like there was something else out there for me. And now I can just be myself. And like you said, use exactly those things which made me different and not fit in to my advantage. So I 100% agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So So, Deb, you are like a phenomenal branding expert. And I don't even know where to start about branding, but let's talk about you mentioned something very interesting to me in our last conversation, and that was human to human branding. What on earth is that? And how can entrepreneurs and really anybody out there work with that and take it to their advantage?
Yeah, 100%. So I'm the irrational loyalty person, and it's always good to like get a level set on what is irrational loyalty, because irrational loyalty is that condition where people are so bonded to you, they'd feel like they were cheating on you if they were to choose an alternative. It's how we feel about our favorite brands, our favorite people. It's a relationship, like probably the relationship that you have with your husband. We were talking before we started the recording here about my partner. Irrational loyalty is that thing that prevents you from divorce when one of you does a shitty job of loading the dishwasher, right? And so
I love that.
it's a really good way to sum up, what we mean by a brand relationship. So ultimately, a brand is a relationship. And when you have a relationship that engenders that quality of irrational loyalty, then you have these bonds that take you higher. So you asked about H to H or human to human branding. And over about the last 2 years, I've been really fascinated by this trend, which is that it's not enough to just be in business. You have to humanize your brand and create the bonds of irrational loyalty as if your brand was like a human being. And where does that brand emanate from? Well, it emanates from humans. And so human to human branding, human beings are looking for other human beings to help them understand what to think, what to do, what to wear, where to be, who to support, what to feel, right? You notice during the pandemic, we were searching for leadership, weren't we? And we were finding it in some places, we were finding it in a positive way in nooks and crannies that were places we had never looked before. And in other places, we were finding sort of like these negative forms of leadership. So I got fascinated with this idea of authority. And so there are a lot of people out there talking about authority today. And the people who haven't gone very far to really understand authority, they define authority as influence. And authority and influence are two different things, right? Mm-hmm. So you mentioned at the beginning, you used two words to describe me. You said brand guru. I have authority in the world of branding. I have done this kind of work for 30 plus years in other people's companies and for 21 years in my own company. I have worked with some of the biggest, best known household name brands in the world. I've written 3 best-selling books about branding. I travel around the world as a pretty sought after professional speaker, where people bring me into a room full of executives and experts and want me to share with them the wisdom of branding. I have a footprint of authority. That authority was earned because that resume that I just gave you, you can't swing a cat over your head, not hit 150 other people who have exactly those same attributes, in fact. But what gives me authority and where H to H or human to human branding comes from, it comes from inside of me. It comes from a combination of my authentic passion for this subject. You know, I'm very passionate about this, right?
You are.
And I know that it can be transformative to businesses and human beings everywhere. That's like, I can't not do it, right? So it comes from my authentic passion. It comes from a unique and honed, consistent point of view. So you saw me speak at a conference. That's where we met. I talked about irrational loyalty. Exactly what I said about irrational loyalty that day is what I said about irrational loyalty right here. It's what I said in 3 interviews that I did last week. It's what I'm going to say on September 5th when I deliver a keynote in San Diego. But it's being consistent and having a unique, honed, interesting point of view. So I have a counterintuitive point of view about branding. A lot of people talk about branding as it's a marketing activity. My counterintuitive view on this is that marketing is about your actions, or branding is about your actions, that actions speak louder than marketing, and that it emanates from within for the company, and most importantly, for the human beings inside the company that are actually driving that irrational loyalty relationship. I say lots of things that are counterintuitive, that are not popular in the marketing industry. In fact, I go out there, I tell people branding is easy. I'm like, it's so easy. I'll teach you to do it right now. I will give you for free the sum total of all of my experience, my knowledge, my expertise that's been published in 3 books, that's been given away on stages all over this world. I'm giving it to you right now. Get out your pencil and write it down. And so authority requires you, the first thing I said was like this authentic passion. The second is a unique, consistent, well-honed point of view. Number three, the ability and the desire to give it away without asking for anything from another person in obligation to you. That's where authority comes from, right? So Maria, you're a very generous, giving person, right?
Yeah.
This podcast is free, right?
Yes.
You are sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, but most importantly, this incredible network of people that you've cultivated over the years. You're sharing those things and their insights with other people. You are giving generously to the world, and that's where authority comes from. Influence is different. We get influence, like I can get influence if I hand you money, if I bribe you, right? I can say, Maria, here's $5. Please post a positive review for one of my books on Amazon, right? I have influence. That's influence, right? That money influenced you. But authority is what creates this give and take relationship where you just want to lean forward. You want to give to the other people without anything expected in return. And as a result, there's some kind of change that takes place, whether it's on a micro level or it's on a macro level. So I tell people, I tell entrepreneurs this all the time. It's not enough to just have a business if you want to create a change in the world. And what I mean by the world, it could be right in your own backyard. It could be down the street, around the corner, or it could be halfway across the planet, or it could be on another planet. Whatever the sphere of influence and desire for you is, it's not enough to just have a company. Like if you want to create really meaningful work and make a meaningful impact and you get to decide that, you have to have authority. You have to show up in a way that you can believe in yourself, but more importantly, other people can believe in you. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I got to tell you, my heart is smiling because so many of the points that you're making are striking with me. Like, okay, good, like check mark, right? Because I've had, I've interacted with people who think otherwise. And, now we have AI and like, why do you bother? And I'm like, because I am the face of my brand, right? Like my company, I'm the face of my brand. And yes, the things that I say about the fitness industry, the wellness industry, are counter to the way things are done so far. And is it unique? Yes. I mean, I'll tell you, one of my marketing teams, couple of marketing teams back, they were like, you're so counter to what every other fitness person says. They're like, it's hard to market you. I'm like, no. You take that and you use that uniqueness to market, because that's what rebellious is about, right? You don't have to do it the same way. And I know it works and I'm passionate about it. And I see how people's lives change, right? So yes, the podcast, why do I do that? To educate people, right? With other people who are rebellious, who have made it and who are like, no, there's a different way to do it. Let me show you. And
yeah, so you are in branding. One of the practices in branding that a lot of branding experts use is this idea of the brand archetype, where you anchor a brand against these classic storytelling motifs, these character archetypes that appear in literature, in the Bible, in movies, in the stories that we've handed down from generation to generation. You, my friend, are what we refer to as the outlaw archetype. And the outlaw archetype is designed to turn the world on its ear and upset the status quo. And whoever that marketing team was before that said you're hard to market, I like want to grab them and shake them, because when you have someone who is looking to disrupt a conventional way of thinking, their brand becomes a magnet for other people who share those counterintuitive values and beliefs. Those are people who have tried the conventional ways and found that they didn't work. And so when I, as a marketer, as a branding person, get the privilege of working with someone who has a disruptive point of view, it opens up tons of conceptual and, more importantly, financial territory, right? When you are coming in and you're turning the world on its ear, where there is a better way. You think about the great disruptors in history in the B2B space, and I know you have past corporate experience. Salesforce is one, right? Look at Mark Benioff. He created something. He basically said, software is dead. It doesn't live on-premise computers. It lives in the cloud. People are like, what the fuck is the cloud, right? Yeah. And so when he went to market, he had to use his authority, his human authority as a disruptor, as an outlaw, and he went to market with other disruptive outlaw leaders of technology companies to build that brand. And so what you are doing in your realm on your scale here is like firing shots directly across the bow of the fitness and wellness industry, right? And I say, keep doing that, because one of the things that I say about authority is that you can't truly be an authority until you are open to having an opposing point of view and inviting other people to criticize you. You have to be ready to say,
have a strong bone. Yeah, bring it on.
and you have to be ready to say, bring it, right? Yeah, you engage in civil discourse and we act with decorum because our brands and our authority are important. However, I invite criticism. You, when you were at that speaking engagement where we met, one of the exercises we did was the ideal customer archetype. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
I said, get out a piece of paper and a pencil. We're going to draw this. I get criticized for that all the time because I say, I'm like, when you're building a brand, you build the brand for one person. The archetype of the very, very best, most predictive of success human being that your brand is built for. Draw a picture of that. I get criticized by marketing and branding experts all the time because they're like, what about segments? What about, what about go-to-market strategy? What about marketing? What about advertising? And I say, I'm talking about building a brand. And building a brand is about humanizing the authority behind the organization to use it as a magnet to attract to it people who share values and beliefs. How can you ever know who you share values and beliefs with if you don't know the person? You have to give the person a seat at the table for your brand. So how do entrepreneurs use this? Regardless of the scope of your business. I do this with the biggest household name brands in the world. I also do this with people like you, Maria, people who have businesses like mine, mid-market companies, whatever. We sit down, we draw a picture of it, we get everybody on the same page because the magic of it is we want to close our eyes and be able to see that person. And it's almost like if you did any high school theater and you had to deliver a monologue or you had to sing a song to somebody, like the high school drama teacher always says, like, picture the person you're singing to, right? What's your motivation? Well, the same is true
brand.
Taking your brand to market. And so back to this concept of authority, it's a very unpopular opinion, the idea that you can build the brand for one person. But here's the challenge. The Nike brand, you're familiar with Nike. The Nike brand is the Nike brand. It's the Nike brand. It's the Nike brand. Whether you are the NFL or the NCAA buying it, you're a high school athletic director, you're a recreational athlete from Salt Lake City, Utah, like me, we're Maria, you buy it at Dick's Sporting Goods, you buy it at the Nike store, you buy it online, or you buy it and you put your company name on it from some third party who sells branded merchandise. The Nike brand is the same. It stimulates that inner dialogue with the inner athlete inside of all of us, right?
Yeah.
And it's what gives your brand consistency and it gives your brand life, that it shows up consistently across every channel and every segment it sells to. So authority, you are the outlaw archetype. I mean, you couldn't be anything else. I mean, the name is rebellious, right?
Right. It goes along.
And you're firing shots out there saying like, this is different, and there's a better way, there's a different way. You have people flocking to you for your authority. And I would argue the more disruptive you are, the more authority you can have.
Yeah. Hey, Rebels. I want to take a quick moment to share something super exciting with you. If you've been feeling stuck, disconnected, or just know there is more to life than what you're experiencing, I have something special for you. I have created a powerful 6-step video series called Unleash Your Potential, an introduction to the Angelova Method. As a valued Mind-Body podcast listener, the series is my gift to you. In this series, I will guide you through the core elements of the Angelova Method, a unique approach that integrates movement, mindset, and mastery to help you align your body, mind, and life. You will learn practical techniques to improve your alignment, boost your core strength, and connect deeply to your inner self. Whether you're looking to enhance your physical health, gain mental clarity, or simply live more fully, these videos are designed to get you started on the path to your most vibrant self. And the best part? It's completely free. So if you're ready to break through barriers and unleash your full potential, head over to mindbodyexpert.com and get started today. Let's take this journey together. because you, my rebel, deserve nothing less than the extraordinary.
Yeah. And you know what? I think part of it is like even coming into confidence with that, right? Like, because when you get feedback is like, well, like you speak about the industry, it's like, right, because I'm trying to re-educate people, right? To make them aware, to tell them there is a different way to do this. And a lot of colleagues disagree. They're like, well, how can you say that? That's not how it's done. And it's
Well,
like,
the conventional ways don't work, do they? Otherwise, there wouldn't be like rows and rows and rows of books at freaking Barnes and Noble. Like,
right. And I'm like, but it's not working. Is it working for you? No, it's not. So why do you keep doing something that's not working? You have to change it.
The definition of insanity, right?
Yes.
It's like you keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. So sometimes people need someone with authority to show them a different way. Now, your authority can come across like your authority comes across as rebellious and disruptive, but in an energetic, positive, and supportive way, right? But authority also comes, I'm the magician archetype. I'm all about transforming the state of matter. I take people and businesses from one state to something different, and the process feels magical. They feel like somebody waved a magic wand. They don't know how they got there. That means that everything I do with my authority has to feel transformative. I have to like make people's, brains explode with information, and I have to make things so easy for them. It's as if they snap their finger, right? So authority doesn't just emanate from being disruptive. It can emanate from playing a role in someone's life where they're missing something, where they're, for people who are disruptors or outlaws, the people need to be liberated. For people who are magicians like me, these are people who lack mastery and they need to have something unlocked for them. There's power in being a caregiver, right?
Absolutely.
There's power in being a regular guy, regular gal, and democratizing access for things. You have to think about who your audience is and what they need from your brand, from the brand of the human, the brand of the business, and deliver on that and be consistent and not be afraid to invite criticism from other people.
One of my coaches years ago said, you will make it when you start hearing criticism. And I think a couple of years ago, I started getting some of my first, hate mails or whatever you want to call it, or DMs. Mm-hmm. And of course, it doesn't feel good, but I was like, all right, let's go. I was like, let's do this, right? It's inevitable. It's going to happen. And I think what's important is, like you said, I know I come from a good place, right? From a place of giving, from a place of serving, from a place of high energy and vibration. Yep. And I know that's the same for you because, oh my goodness, that marketing session we did at, I should have prepared, well, I'm a terrible what do you call it? Like artist. Yeah. But I have my little dude that I drew. I'm going to show you after. Yeah. And it was such a fun exercise. But I love that you talk about marketing and authenticity and staying true to who you are, because I think especially for entrepreneurs, sometimes it is scary to stay true to who you are, especially when you hear the criticism, especially when you get the feedback of like, what are you doing?
This is a challenge I have every day. Like I've been going through, I'll be very authentic with you right here. Like I'll tell it to you real, like over the past couple of days, since about Friday, I've been going through what I refer to as a midlife crisis about my business, where I had a very negative experience with a client that we have worked with for 20 years, right? Oh, wow. And it's a huge company and it's not the same client. There's like 40 different people there that we work with and whatever. But I had such a negative experience with this person on Friday where he was like, A, he was really critical of the work. B, he behaved in a way that was not aligned with my values. Like he said very unkind things about my employees and our process in front of them. Like I was brought into something to like, Deb, we need you to come in here and sort of like, help us unpack this or whatever. So, I'm doing a call with this client where basically I'm giving him airtime to complain. And in the complaining, he was borderline inappropriate. He was mean. He like just downright unkind, was not collaborative, and was not willing to share accountability for the state of where this project was. And I mean, it really, really got me down and it got me thinking. And over the past couple of days, and I shed tears about this because I'm like, I fucking hate this, right? So in my mind, like sort of processing all of this, I'm like, A, he's not my ideal client, right? I am not working with my ideal client. We attract to us people, like the whole notion of irrational loyalty, Maria, is like if we are in that irrational loyalty relationship with one another where we each behave on brand for our relationship and we make these deposits into this emotional bank account we share, that protects us when something goes off the rails. This was a person who was not willing to contribute to that shared emotional bank account that we have. And it really got me to like step back. And I was like, is this not just this person we're working with, but is this type of work that we're doing for this client, is this on brand for us? Because it was like this huge realization. And I say like tears were shed over this. I was like, well, if this is the kind of work that this company wants us to be participating in for the long haul now, I don't know if I want to continue this 20-year relationship because it's hurtful and it's not on brand for us. It costs us money. It cost us our psyche. It has my employees sitting at their desks going like this. You know what I mean? And so like while I was having that midlife crisis and I'm like, I hate my business. I hate my clients. I mean, it was like one indication here, but again, just sort of tapping into like my own methodology and what do I tell other clients? I took a step back and I was like, this is like getting a shitty book review. Like you can read on Amazon. Like I remember the first negative review I got like a 1-star review. And you know what the review said? This was for my first book, Branding is Sex. It said, this is not a book for performance marketers. And I was like, you know, flipping the bird. And then I was like, you know what? You're right. This is not a book for performance marketers. In fact, it says in the very introduction of the book who this book is for. And it says, this book is not for performance marketers. This book is for business leaders and strategists and executives and people who are passionate about making an impact through the platform of their brand. If you're a performance marketer, this book is not for you. But it's so easy. It's so easy to be affected by these 100%. Things. The only thing you have, Maria, besides like, you know, your courage and your strength is your brand. So getting clear about your brand and who it stands for and as a magnet, who it's designed to attract, it does help you. It does help you sort of fend it off. It doesn't stop it from happening, but it helps you make sense of it. And now, like I had 3 wasted days of being depressed and upset about, you know, this client drama, which by the way is ongoing. And I'm just trying to finish the freaking project and like get out of there, be brief, be brilliant, be done and save our reputation. But I can guarantee you, we are looking in other directions to work with people who are more aligned with our values.
You know what? I am so glad that you shared that, Deb, because you're a veteran in the branding industry, obviously not just somebody who is just starting this business.
Yeah.
And I will say, you know, that happens and it sucks and it doesn't feel good. And yes, if you see what's happening.
No, I've been doing this kind of work for 30 years, right?
I have cried too, right? And my feelings have been hurt. And you're right. If you know who you are, and if you stay true to who you are, you know, and I say, if you stay in alignment with who you are, even in situations, actually, especially in situations like that, you will stay true to yourself and your brand will stay true to itself. And it's not always easy, but you have to be in charge of making that decisions and acknowledging, you know what, this is not the right situation for me. This does not align with me. And, you know, as entrepreneurs, clients are revenue. And I get that, right? Sometimes you have to make that courageous step of saying, I choose not to go after this revenue because that is not the right type of revenue, because this revenue is actually going to cost me more in terms of mental health and stress and being upset and derailing my energy. So I'm so glad that you brought up that example, because that is a very real example that happens to every one of us who is in business.
It does. And, you know, now that I'm 56 years old, right? And now that I'm this far into my career and into my life, I feel like, oh, I should have gotten this out of my system. It still affects me. Like it 100%. Still affects me every single day and in every turn. Like I'm in the downswing of my career and it's still happening. And I'm really glad that I have the ability to make the choice. And the final thing that I'll say about brand is like brand gives you the framework to make the choice, right? So I feel very privileged that I've been operating a successful, profitable business for decades now, that I do have a choice to walk away from this. There are situations, and very real situations, for entrepreneurs who maybe don't have big businesses that print money, who maybe are just starting out, who have to be a little bit more opportunistic. Establishing the footprint of your brand and really understanding who it is for, what it stands for, what your values and beliefs are that you want to align with your customers are. When you get into the inevitable situation, and it is inevitable, it happens to you, it happens to me, whatever. When you get into that situation, you always have the support of your brand framework to help you make a conscious decision. You still may have to decide, for purposes of keeping the lights on or keeping the water running, I need to continue taking money from this client. But this gives you the framework to choose, because I've done it before. Like we had a client a couple of years ago that I came forward to the whole team. I'm like, I know you guys hate these people. And I know that this makes you miserable every single day that we have to serve them. However, the way the contract is written, we have to fulfill this contract, or we will owe them, this many hundreds of thousands of dollars back. And so I want you to know this is not on brand. It's not on strategy for us. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to minimize the amount of negative impact this is going to have to the organization. Just understand, I know that this is not ideal. Here's how I'm prepared to support you as we go through this. And here's our plan for moving forward to never work with a client like this again. So when you have a brand established, you have the ability to have conversations like that with employees or with yourself, right? Yep. And so I've many times had to have the conversation. I'm like, I effing hate this person. I don't want to work with them anymore. However, for the greater good, this is why I am choosing to move forward. And the and part is very important. And here's what I'm going to do to mitigate the risk to other people. And the second and is, and here's my plan for moving forward, so I never have to work with anyone like this again. So I just be like, real talk. We are not always in a situation where we can fire clients who are not on brand for us, right? But having a brand gives you the ability to recognize, not on brand, here's who is on brand, and here's what I'm going to do to like run this thing out and like make this thing happen, right?
But I think you bring another very important point, Deb, that sometimes through clients, we learn who is not our ideal client, right? Sometimes you get burned to say, you know what? I don't want to work with that type of client anymore. Or you know what? I didn't think I was going to love working with that type of client, and I do, right? So all of these are learning opportunities, and we're growing, no matter how many years you have been into whatever business, we're constantly learning and growing. So it's okay if that happens to us. I mean, here is a veteran in the industry, who has a huge company, and it's still happening. So any piece of advice, any last piece of advice you have for branding, or really anything else, or life?
Advice on life?
I mean, is that dangerous?
The branding advice that I give everybody is this. And that is that the best brands in the world, they do 4 things. It's just 4 things. It's a very short list, right? And you can have one of the best brands in the world by just emulating these characteristics. Number 1, aim your brand at a singular, ideal, archetypal customer. Find the single human being that you are made for and aim your brand at them. Yes, you're going to do business with people who don't represent 100% of those characteristics. It's okay. But having that clarity and being able to close your eyes and see who that person is helps you, most importantly, identify who it's not, right? Mm-hmm. Number 2, they become part of that person's self-concept. Think of your brand as if your client is wearing it on a t-shirt, right? So if I were to put on your beautiful top here that says rebellious and go out there in the world, you would want me to be representative of that brand, right? What are the characteristics you most want to see in me through patronizing your brand, right? Number 3, don't just be different, be unique. Be unique. And we talked about uniqueness.
Yeah,
uniqueness comes from your point of view. There are, I hate to say this, but there are millions of people out there that are in your category, Maria, but you stand out as unique. The services are not different. Mm-hmm. No offense, like somebody's
right.
variations of the service, the essence of the superpower that you bring to the table is what makes you unique. What makes you weird makes you wonderful. So be unique, not just different. And then the final thing, make your brand about your customer. Your brand isn't about you. Your brand is about them. What will they experience through the use of their brand, right? If I am patronizing the Maria Rebellious brand, what is it? How does that make me heroic? Well, you're giving me like an extra injection of confidence and courage and excitement and engagement and strength and flexibility in life to face whatever's coming at me head on, right? You're giving, through use of your superpowers, you're giving me superpowers. So always think of your brand in terms of what it can do for them. So that's my final advice. You were looking for one piece. It's actually 4 pieces, but
you guys write it down. Rebels.
Yeah, right. Be one of the best brands in the world. And it doesn't take much to do it. Like truly, turn your customer into a hero. Figure out what is the superpower that you give them through your superpower. And that's all they need to know.
I love it, Deb. Thank you so much. All right, Deb, can't let you escape without hearing your definition of rebellious.
Oh my gosh. Well, I wrote a book that's called Branding is Sex, Get Your Customer Laid and Sell the Hell Out of Anything. I don't think it gets much more rebellious than that. It's
so fitting here. I'm telling you.
Rebellion to me really is like standing in my own authentic authority and like just owning it, like not letting anyone tell me how I'm supposed to show up. So yeah, my parents had passed away, but I always joke around. I'm like, my parents would be so proud to know that I wrote a book with the word sex and laid in the title. But I mean, that's it, right? Yeah.
That is unique, Deb. That is unique. All right, Deb, where can people find you, follow you? If they want to connect with you, what's the best place to go?
Well, the good news is my name, Deb Gabor, is my name. And so I have a website, debgabor.com. You can submit a request in there to get on my calendar. Maria, I offer this to everybody. You know this because you took me up on it.
Do it. Do it.
I will talk to anybody. I will talk to anybody about anything. Just let me know, like, where did you hear me? Where did you see me? Whatever. There's a bunch of free digital downloads on that site so that you can do some of these exercises and stuff like that. I'm on all the social medias as Deb Gabor. Like the place where I spend the most time on social media, which frankly is not that much, is LinkedIn. Because my ideal customer happens to be a business person. And then, if you want to follow me on Instagram and see my mountain biking and skiing adventures and lots of pictures of my cats, that's also a good place to look for me. But everything, just if you search the internet, if you just put Deb Gabor into Google, you'll find all of the different ways to find me.
Oh, I love it. Deb, thank you so much for the amazing advice, for the high energy, for the laughter. I do have to tell you, I'm like fired up a little bit.
Fired up, good.
Yes, I'm totally fired up. I'm totally re-listening to this episode and taking notes. So Rebels, I do hope that's the case for you. Definitely share that episode with whoever you might think can benefit from this. Do follow up Deb. Do take advantage. I personally recommend you take advantage of the free downloadables that she does. I did them for my company. I did them for myself. Very beneficial, and you will get to play with that drawing that she was talking about in our conversation of drawing your ideal client. That's it, Deb. Thank you so much. You guys stay rebellious. See you next time.
Thank you for joining us on the Mind Body Podcast, where we explore the power of living authentically and rebelliously. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow rebellious soul who would love to hear what we share as much as you do. Stay strong, stay calm, and most importantly, stay rebellious. Until next time, rebellious souls, keep living fully. Your journey is just beginning.